we probably didn't see Ireland move the ball that much. When we look at, say, Melbourne next weekend, like, do you expect Schmidt to change things up so that we are a little bit more free-flowing in possession?
Yeah, well, I think Johnny Sexton and Gary Ringrose will both be in the back line, and that will make a big difference. Sexton, while he may be seen as a very different player to Carberry, who's got great footwork, some nice passing, which we did see elements of today. He had one loose pass in the first half, but I thought he invited a couple of players onto the ball. But Sexton certainly has that creative edge as well, and we saw it throughout the Six Nations in phase play, even in that passage where they build up to the drop goal in Paris. The couple of creative moments were from Sexton, maybe the crossfield kick or the kick pass, to Keith Earls, and a couple of nice passes where he just challenges the defence. So I think under the kind of intense pressure that the Wallabies managed to bring in defence with their absolute aggression, he's just more experienced at making decisions in the face of that. So he'll add a lot certainly to attack. And Ringrose, let's not forget, in the last two games of Six Nations, added a lot to Ireland's attack. It's a little bit more subtle. It may not be a searing line break, but it's a little bit of footwork to get on the outside or the inside of the defender. You're over the gain line. And then the next guy on the next phase, his decision is much easier because he doesn't have that line speed against him. You know, that Jacob Stockdale try in Twickenham is a great example. Just before that, on the prior phase, Ringrose just uses his footwork to get inside a tackler. Suddenly England are numbers down on the narrow side of the next phase, and Murray and Stockdale go and create a bit of magic. So I think him coming in will add to it. And I did think that the midfield was struggling tonight. As we said, they haven't played more so recently in a couple of games, and they just lacked that little bit of creative edge. So I think those two guys will make a difference to the team. It was always likely that there were going to be changes anyway. We expected rotation between the three tests, and it was interesting in the press conference. Schmidt, I asked him about, does this defeat kind of change any plans he had for this trial of new things that he mentioned before the tour, and he said, I've got to push ahead with that because that is a big part of this tour, even though they're obviously down here to win a series as well. So it'll be interesting to see what happens potentially, in one of those key halfback positions. Does he give another big start to a less experienced player? We'll probably see Murray and Sexton together just because they're going after that levelling game, because you don't want to be going to Sydney 2-0 down and making a raft of changes. So interesting team selection ahead, but as you mentioned, I do think those two players will add a lot to Ireland's attack.